it up, swashbucklers! You're listening to Under the Crossbones, episode number 145. My name's Phil Johnson. I'm your host for the show. Thank you for tuning in. And there's lots of stuff out there that you could be listening to or watching or whatever it is, and I appreciate that you are going to come and spend some time with me and my guest today, Captain Jay Tucci. That's great of you, because you could be, watching Stranger Things again or something like that. So I appreciate you being here. That is super cool. My guest on the show today is Captain Jay Tucci, and he is the author of a new book for children called Captain Jay and the Misfit Crew, which is really cool. It's got some really cool themes. We're going to talk about that in just a second. And I went to the NorCal Pirate Fest over the weekend. That was fun. I got there for an entire hour and a half because Saturday, that's all the time I had. I managed to, I did some lessons in the morning, and then I had to go pick up my guitar from the shop where it was being repaired. And then I sat in traffic for like 3 hours to get to Vallejo. And then by the time I got there, I only had about an hour and a half left of the festival to check out. But it was fun. Talked to some new people that I'm going to have on the show soon. Ran into Jack Gonzo from Scoundrels Inn while I was there. Nice to see him in person. Saw O'Craven do an acoustic set, which that was fun. Hung out with those guys for a bit. Saw John Cloud, the singer, with his messed up knee because he jumped off the stage earlier that day, and that turned out to be a bad idea. So nice to see those guys. That was cool. Of course, Long Beach is coming up pretty soon. I will be there doing some co-MC work and all that kind of stuff. Hope your Father's Day was good. We haven't done Father's Day yet because I had a gig. Actually, here's the thing. You are only the second person I have talked to today. Yeah, that's it, because I woke up and I got in the car and I drove for 4 hours. Yay, how was your morning? I had a gig in Reading last night, which was a lot of fun at Woody's Brewery, but I had to drive back this morning first thing. So I've talked to nobody except for my girlfriend because I got to talk to her first, right? When I get home, got to call her first, and then I talk to you. So you're like right behind my girlfriend as far as importance goes. How do you like that? That's pretty good. The gig in Reading was cool. It was interesting because it was Father's Day, so there was a lot of families in the audience, and it was not the rowdy, dirty show that I was expecting it to be from my last experience there, but it was fun nonetheless. I pulled them all in. We had some fun, awkward times. There was a kid named Logan sitting there who was 10, and Logan learned a lot. But it was a fun gig in Reading. And, but we didn't do Father's Day yet because my dad couldn't go with me. He had to stay home because my mother is recovering from knee surgery. So he was being a good husband, staying home, helping my mom. So we still have Father's Day to do yet. That's coming up. We're going to do it later this week. You know, it's as long as we do some appreciation on a day, we have a dinner, then we do it. It doesn't have to be on the day. It doesn't have to be. So before the show, yesterday, my girlfriend, here's a little snafu we ran into. We had a couple hours. My girl and I had to go out and run some errands and just, grabbing some groceries, hitting the Costco, that type of stuff. We had to go to the mall because she had to return something. And so we're going to have lunch, and we went to the food court of the mall. And our food court at our mall is not very good, and it's kind of overpriced and whatever. And we saw a sign, Red Robin had $6.99 burgers. And I said, well, you know what? Why don't we go to Red Robin? It's cheaper than the food court, and the food will be better, and we can, sit down and enjoy it. And this is keeping in mind that I had a schedule. I had to be out of town by like 1:30, 2 o'clock to make my show in Reading. So we go in to the Red Robin and we order, and my girlfriend had an allergy, so she said, please don't put this on my burger. Great. And then it takes forever to get our burger. It takes good close to like 25 minutes to get our food. And then hers comes, and it's wrong. Like they had put the thing on there that she's allergic to. So she sent it back, and she's and we both sat there. We're waiting. And she goes, you know what? You can start on yours because it's going to get cold by the time mine gets here. So, I eat faster than she does anyway. She's a very, very slow eater. And I've spent out of the past 25 years that we've been together, I would gauge that I've spent probably 7 years just watching her eat, just waiting for her to finish whatever the meal is. I think 7 years. I've spent 7 years watching her eat. So not only that, but then it takes them another half an hour to bring her replacement burger out. Half an hour, Red Robin, half an hour. Normally we like Red Robin. I think this is a one-time deal. So I have long finished my meal at this point, and we're ordering more fries, more salad, because they got the bottomless, and I'm just trying to keep my face busy. And they finally bring out her burger, and then there's another half an hour of her slowly eating her hamburger. And so the moral of the story is it was cheaper than the food court because they took her burger off of the check because they were so darn slow with it. So we got out of there for lunch for two for $10, including the tip, which is great. But we blew so much time. We paid the price in time rather than in money, and we probably should have just gone to the crummy food court. So remember that time, more valuable than money. Don't make that mistake. Yeah, value your time. Value your time. Oh, boy. But like I said, writing was cool. Lots of other shows coming up. June 20th, I'll be at the Hatch in Oakland. June 26th, I'll be at Buzzworks in San Francisco, California. June 27th, I'll be at Bricks in Oakland, California. And then June 30 to July 1st, I'll be at the Long Beach Pirate Invasion as a co-MC for the weekend, introducing bands and acts and things like that. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. So if you see me in Long Beach, come and say hi. I'll be wearing a red shirt and a pirate hat. I was so underdressed for the NorCal Pirate Fest. Not only because I just wasn't dressed in pirate garb, it's just not my thing, but because normally it's 1,000 degrees up there, and this time it was 61 and windy. That was weird. So I'm wearing, I had shorts and a t-shirt on, and I was freezing my butt off. But that was very odd for this one. But this one, I'll have a pirate hat on. The garb thing is not my deal, but I will have a pirate hat on for Long Beach. So be sure to come and say hi. In July, I'm doing a Northwest run. I'll be in Pendleton, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Richland, Washington, doing a bunch of headline dates. If you're in any of those areas, I hope you'll come out and say hi. You can get all the tour dates. Go to underthecrossbones.com. Click on the tour dates button. You can find out where I am going to be, and it's going to be a bunch of fun. I love playing the Pacific Northwest. Sponsored today by Captain Willie's Peg Socks. Yeah, got yourself a peg leg? You don't want to have a dirty peg leg wandering around in all the muck and the bilge in the ship. Your peg leg's going to get dirty, and wood is a porous substance, so you got to get yourself a Captain Willie's peg sock to put on that. They come in a bunch of colors. You can get rainbow ones. You can get Hello Kitty peg socks. Whole bunch of stuff. They are made from the best Kraken silk. Yes, silk. You didn't know a Kraken spun silk like a spider, but it does. And the Kraken silk is very strong. And they color it with the Hello Kitty, and you put it on your peg, and that is Captain Willie's Peg Socks, and you can get them at www. I just completely made all that up. Captain Willie's Peg Socks don't exist. That would be kind of cool, though. I'll bet if somebody invented peg socks, pirates would buy them. I think they would. So that's not true. But TeePublic, that's a real sponsor. They work with independent artists to create t-shirts. And I have curated over 100 super cool pirate t-shirts for you to check out. Funny ones, sexy ones, scary ones, all sorts of stuff. And you can get them. They're reasonably priced. The money goes to the artist. I get a little cut. It's a win-win for everybody. Plus, you get a super cool new pirate t-shirt. For those days when you gotta kind of be normal, right? You have to go out among normal people. And if you go out wearing, pantaloons and a bandolier full of pistols, people might look askance at you, and you don't need that. So you can go undercover pirate by just wearing a pirate t-shirt. I do it all the time. It's my normal go-to. And you can get those at underthecrossbones.com/shirt. That's underthecrossbones.com/shirt to see the over 100 super cool pirate t-shirts that I have hand curated just for you. So go check those out. And of course, you can get all the show notes for this episode at underthecrossbones.com/145. That's 145. Hey, you know what? I forgot to look up an interesting fact about 145. So I don't know. We'll make something up. Fun fact about the number 145. There are 145 suckers on the underside of a kraken where it spins its kraken silk for peg socks. There you go. That'll work. So Captain Jay Tucci is on the show today. And like I said, he's written a new children's book. He's a longtime guy in the pirate scene, pirate entertainment scene, and his new book is called Captain Jay and the Misfit Crew, and it is on a bullying theme, which I think is very pertinent. We talk a lot about bullying and the whys and the hows of modern bullying and how it should be dealt with and things like that. So we're going to talk a bunch about that, but I thought I would tell you one of my bullying stories, because look, if you're listening to this show, I'm going to hazard a guess. I'm going to generalize. And if this is not you, I apologize, then it's not you. Good for you. But I'm going to guess that a lot of the people listening to this show probably were not the super cool jock, prom queen / king people in school. And when you're not that, chances are you got bullied a little bit. So I'm sure it's something we've all been through at some point. And even those kids, even the bullies, got bullied at some point. But I have a bully story. It is the first time I triumphed over a bully. It was in middle school. And there was a kid named Sam. I'm not going to give you his whole name. I don't want to out the guy if he's out there somewhere. His name was Sam, and Sam was very angry. He was an angry person and very much a bully. And looking back on it, it's because Sam was very, very short. Sam was much shorter than the rest of us in middle school. And so he was making up for his lack of height with anger, which is probably, he's probably grown out of that by now. I imagine he's gotten some help with that. But anyway, we were playing kickball, and I was at first base, and Sam was kicking the ball. It's batter. They don't call it batter. I don't know what they call it in kickball. But anyway, Sam was at the plate. I was first base, and he kicked the ball, and it just came straight towards me, first base. And I caught the ball, and he was out. Sam, however, did not feel like he should have been out. Very angry, like I said. He growled out loud and kept running head first like a bull in an arena. And that red ball I was holding was like a red cape. And he ran head first into my stomach, and knocked me flat on my butt out of anger. And here's the good part. Held onto the ball. He was still out. So I was very proud of myself because he was still out, and I didn't really care how angry he was. Now, he, like I said, that was not a one-time occurrence. He was a kid like that. He was a very bully kind of kid, and looking back on it, I understand. Dude was just making up for a severe lack of height, which even in middle school, none of us were big, and he was smaller than the rest of us. So it was a defense mechanism for him, and I get it now, and I hope Sam is doing well now, and he's gotten past those issues, and I'm sure he has. But that for me, that was a standout thing in my head. Like, oh yeah, I stood up to him, I held onto the ball, and he was still out. And come to think of it, I don't think he messed with me that much after that. So I think I won that one. But we talk a lot about bullying in this episode, and I think you're going to enjoy it. If you've got bully stories of your own, we would love to hear them. Come on over to the Facebook page, facebook.com/underthecrossbones, and tell us how you dealt with it. And I think that's educational for everybody. Okay, well, let's do this, shall we? Let's talk to Captain Jay Tucci. Here we go. Captain Jay Tucci, you do YouTube videos. You have a new book out. You do all sorts of things. How do you define yourself as a pirate? What does your function look like?
As far as a pirate goes, I like to describe myself and what we do more of we are historically movie accurate. So okay. I may not have the garb of a historical pirate, but we love the history, or I love the history. And what I do is I teach the kids about famous pirates. I entertain. I do silly kid things like balloon animals, or balloon swords, really. I have a pillory that we put people in, do photographs, and we just have fun being a pirate. So that's really me in a nutshell as far as piracy is concerned.
Okay. And so are you mostly working with kid audiences and things like that?
Yeah, so we travel up and down. I have a group called the Northeast Buccaneers, and we travel up and down the coast from northern Maine. Eastport, Maine is actually the farthest north we've been, all the way down to southern Massachusetts. And we tackle different events. A lot of the events that we do are community events or small business events, and we go to support those events and help drive crowds to help them basically get a bigger attendance and make money to go towards what their whole operation is about.
So what kind of small businesses would bring a group of pirates out?
We have been part of a lot of, town festivals. We do the Tall Ships every year, which is a small organization. The Piscataqua Maritime Commission hosts that, and they are a nonprofit that helps teens go out into the ocean with no technology and none of their normal lifestyle items, and they teach them, life skills.
Okay.
So we've helped with that. We've done some corporate events where they've done like a family fun day. We've done school events, same kind of theory, where they need some kind of entertainment, something to have the kids doing things, and they've hired us or they've asked us to be there. It really depends on the event and what they're looking for.
Nice. That's great. So you have a new book out and you're a first-time author. Usually when I have an author on the show, I go, okay, give me a couple of weeks to read your book first so that we can talk. But yours, I managed to get through very, very quickly.
Oh, good. That's a good sign. Excellent.
Yeah, because it's a children's book. It's Captain Jay and the Misfit Crew. Really great. I love the graphics and stuff in it. They're very cool. Tell us a little bit about the book and what it's about.
Well, I've had the idea of writing a book for a while. I'd say probably 2 years or so, and I've never really gotten into it. I've never written a book. I don't have that in my educational background. But we sat down, or actually I sat down one afternoon. I got home from work and I said, I'm going to do this. And within an hour, I had the entire script of the book written and storyboarded.
Nice.
And then I spent the next few months, drawing and illustrating, and all of the illustrations were done by me. I used, Photoshop to color it in with like textures. But the story is, it's a feel-good story. I'm an amputee. I've been an amputee since I was 16. I'm missing my left leg. So when I pirate, I have a real wooden peg leg that I walk around with. I have a real live macaw, Tiki, who's also in the story. And I've been the victim of bullying when I was a kid, being different, always having, the leg as a handicap. And this story kind of pulls on that. It talks about I'm different. Some other people may be different. We can band together and use our strengths to show people that just because we're different, we're still as awesome as they think they are. So, and that's the message that we're showing there is don't worry about what your handicap is. Focus on what your strengths are and use those.
And I, from an artistic point of view, I really enjoyed the way that you used Photoshop. I thought it was very creative, just using the textures and things like that. I was like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of using, because I recognized a lot of them from my own Photoshop work, but I was like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of using that texture in that way. I just thought the art was really cool. Had you done any visual art like that before?
No, I mean, I was an art major for a while. Back in the day, as they say, I wanted to be a computer animator. I mean, I wanted to work for Pixar. That was my dream. But I never really pursued that much. So this was a big leap for me to jump into Photoshop. And I understand that wasn't maybe the best tool to use, but that's what I have, and that's what I knew the best. So that's what I went with.
I thought like a lot of art that comes out of a small budget and necessity, I thought you did some really creative things in there that wouldn't have been done had you sent that to a traditional children's book illustrator, say, And so I thought just the way you used the tools, I thought was very, very cool. But let's talk about the bullying theme of the book, which is very prevalent in there. Is that, I mean, you are working with kids a lot. Do you see bullying as something that's happening more now, or is it happening just as much as when you were a kid? Because I was bullied too. I think probably anybody that is listening to this show and way into pirates probably got bullied at some point.
Right, yeah.
But do you see it as a larger problem now, or is it like when we were kids?
I honestly, personal opinion, I think it's the same amount. The problem, or not really the problem, the fact is there's more people in the world now than there were when we were kids. So the instances of bullying are more frequent because there's more instances, or more, I guess, chances for it to happen.
Okay.
I have 6 children, one of which has Down syndrome. So my biggest fear, and I've seen my fears come true, is as he gets older, what is that bullying factor going to look like? Because I've been there. I've lived in his shoes, where the friends that I grew up with and trusted weren't always my friends when it became like high school level and became uncool to be friends with the people that were different. So,
sure.
I see it, and I think I do. I think it's about the same level skewed as it was when we were younger.
Yeah, and just more possible touch points, because I can think of that when I was a kid and there was the bully at school, I could go home after school and not have to deal with that guy till the next day.
That's very true.
Whereas that's not the case necessarily now,
Right. Yeah, there's too many avenues for them to continue harassing you outside of those walls.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Now, how do you think in your own life, how do you think that bullying formed your outlook on life?
It's, that's the fun part of this, right? So bullying defines everybody differently. And luckily, I mean, it was me and my mom for years, and she was very positive, still is a very positive part of my life. And that's kind of where I went with it, right? I didn't choose to get angry, and I didn't choose to retaliate, and I didn't choose to like dwell on it. It's made me who I am. So, I'm an amputee, and I could easily just sit there and let people keep picking at me, but I fashioned a wooden leg, and now I walk around with a big red jacket and answer questions. And people now actually come up to me and they ask me things, and some people think that they're offending me. They're not. I'm very open with what I have as a disability per se, and it's made me stronger and way more outgoing than I think I would have been, let's say, if I had just two legs and no physical disability and still had been bullied. Yeah.
That's interesting. And in hearing you talk about it that way now makes me see an undercurrent in your book of they didn't try to get the bullies to stop bullying. They just did what they needed to do. And then that became a natural offshoot of it. Then they became accepted because they just did a good thing.
Right. They did what's right.
I think that's really fascinating because I feel the same way. There were, bullies that I had as a kid who either have completely disappeared off the face of the earth as far as I'm concerned now, or I've looked back at them and gone, oh, I kind of get why they were like that now. And, with reflection, there was the other people around them creating their personality just as much as they were contributing to the way that I was developing as a human being too, don't you think?
Right. Oh, yeah. And honestly, I have entertained some of those bullies' children in these past years. I've seen them at an event, and it was a little like, your heart skips a beat for a second, you're nervous.
Right.
But I didn't acknowledge them. I acknowledged their children, and I treated their children as I treat all the other kids, and I had a good time with it. So hopefully, something positive came out of that on their end.
Oh, that's great. That's very cool. So tell me a little bit then about how you got into the pirate scene. What was the initial factor that led to that?
Well, so obviously with the one leg, pirate costumes were a big hit during Halloween. So I used to dress up quite a bit, and I was working at a electronic retailer, and a coworker came up to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing like a birthday party as a pirate? I don't know if you've ever done anything like that." And I said, I never have. So I did it, and it was a huge hit, and they paid me, and I thought, wow, I can make money doing this. That's interesting. So from there, I kind of started dressing up more and elaborating my costume and kind of going out and just general public walking around, and I realized that people really love the pirate genre, and they would take pictures with me just because, and they would talk to me about how much they like pirate movies or pirate history, and I learned a lot from people, and it just sparked from there. And I've been in and out of other groups before. I've helped form some groups and left them, but it wasn't until my quartermaster, if you will, and I started the Northeast Buccaneers that I really jumped in all the way, 100%. Everything that we do here in our house, all of the kids have their own pirate garb. My wife is a mermaid. She has pirate garb as well. We work 9 to 5s, Monday through Friday, and then the weekends are dedicated to our pirate lifestyle events up and down the seacoast and just getting into it. And people love it. Like, people interact with us, and they laugh, and they share memories, and they come back after year. We just did an event on Friday at an elementary school that we've done for 3 years now, and some of the kids that started in that elementary school come up and they say, "Oh, Captain Jay, we remember you from last year," or "How are you doing?" or "We're so happy you could make it back." So, it gives you that recognition of that you're doing a great job, and it keeps me going. That's my fire.
Certainly, yeah, it sounds like it. It's interesting. It's almost like, most of my friends are comedians, and a lot of them have the story of that when they were bullied as kids, that the jokes, the humor were the defense mechanism to deflect the bullying and kind of survive that. Was the pirate thing just a way of sort of recasting the loss of one leg to make it more acceptable to people?
I think so, in a way. I'm not a comedian by any standards, but I do like to make jokes and make those uncomfortable comments about, someone will come in and go, oh my man, my leg's so tired. I ran, 4 miles last night. And I'll go, yeah, it must be real tough having 2 legs and all. I mean, I can't imagine what that's like. So, those kind of jokes kind of help me pass through. And my biggest role model, my biggest icon was Robin Williams, who obviously was a comedian who used his comedy to, dig or bury that inner turmoil
certainly
within him. And I saw a lot of that, I think, when I was younger, and I recognized that. And I think that's why I identified so much with him. So there's a subconscious part of the piracy that's, helping me accept who I am and have other people accept who I am without making it uncomfortable,
Yeah, that's interesting. Robin was always one of my favorites too. He was just an amazing performer, absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
a lot of his records I can still recite word for word.
Yeah.
So as you got into it, as you got into doing the parties and the things like that, were there growing pains to growing a business like that? What kind of things did you run into that you didn't expect?
I think the biggest thing is you're always going. So with a family, I have 6 children, so you've got to be able to make time for the family as well as this side gig that you're trying to run. And there's not a lot of ability to do that because you're always reaching out, you're always contacting people. And I think the hardest part about it, honestly, is finding a crew that will stand with you and support you for all those events too, because I can do a lot by myself, but I can do a lot more with other pirates with me.
Certainly.
And when you're my personality is very out there and open, and to be able to do what I do and have a crew support me with that, I need to find a crew of people that like to be in the spotlight, but they're not always competing for that spotlight, which I've done very well. I've got some very good friends out of the piracy, and I think it's helped them actually branch out a little bit and open up a little bit and get some of that spotlight as well, without being as loud and obnoxious as I am.
Right. Still got to know who's in charge. I have exactly the same plan and the same problems. Yeah, that's funny. So now, how many of your kids are involved in it?
So my oldest son is 16. He's helped me a lot throughout the years for different events. He does mostly if I'm low on crew, he'll step in and he'll handle the table, or he'll handle balloon swords or something if I can't. So he's our main contributor. And then on the YouTube channel, my 5-year-old Henry, he's seen in some of those as well. So he'd be my second biggest contributor as far as pirates go. But they're all going to be in. My plan is to do an alphabet book, and they'll all be in that. So that'll be fun.
Oh, neat. Yeah. So do they see it as super cool that Dad is a pirate, or is Dad's a pirate?
I don't even think it phases them anymore. They'll just, oh, Dad, pirate, or they look through the book and they don't see Captain Jay. They see Dad. Oh, look, Dad, it's you. Yep, it is.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Nice. Tell me about your parrot.
Oh, Tiki, yes. So Tiki is our blue and gold macaw. She's about 8 years old. We acquired her from a family that was going through some split up, and neither party was able to keep her, so we took her into our home. She is a very complicated creature. I always tell people, if you don't own a bird and you don't know what it takes to own a bird, don't get one.
Right.
They're very, 60 to 70-year-old lifespan, so she'll be here for a long time. They're very loud. They're very messy. But she's a huge hit, and she's actually very, very sweet and very gentle with the crowds. She loves the crowds. She loves being pet. She'll go on other people's arms and take pictures. She's around cannon fire and black powder fire all the time at different events, so she's not very jumpy, and she adds a lot to it. In fact, now that I have her, she sits right on my shoulder all day long. People notice her. They have no idea I have one leg or a peg leg. They see the bird, and then occasionally as I'm walking by, you'll hear someone go, oh my God, he has one leg as well, or he has a wooden peg, or, that's a secondary thing they see. So she adds the next level of piracy to what we're doing.
Was there a learning context or a learning curve for the bird? Was it jumpy at first in those kinds of things, and how did you acclimate it?
So she was not. We did have another bird previously that was not as social as she is, but Tiki's been raised with children prior to our home. And so she transitioned very well into our home with 6 children. And then you just kind of convert that chaos into the outside world, and you socialize and, you know, bring out, and she does very well. So
that's great. So it's only slightly more gunfire than a household of 6 children.
Exactly right. That's right. Slams, bangs. She likes to yell when we yell. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, birds are really a lot of work. My girlfriend's parents had birds, and they are a ton of work. And I had the same thing. I always tell people, if you've never had one, just don't unless you really know what you're getting into.
Yeah, it's a big commitment, and unfortunately, there are a lot of them out there that people take on and then have to abandon, and their abandoning is either at a pet shelter or to another person that isn't ready for that kind of commitment. So
sure,
there's a lot of them out there to adopt for those that actually are committed enough to adopt them rather than have someone breed them, you know?
Right. So when you got into doing the book and you kind of got the text of it blown out in that hour, that's great. That's always the best stuff that comes really fast like that. What was your process for putting it out? Did you go through a traditional publisher or did you self-publish?
So I self-published. I actually did it the wrong way. So if anybody's listening to this and wants to have a tip,
nice.
Don't make your book first and then find someone that can fit your dimensions. I had my heart set on this 11 wide by 8.5 inch height. And, there's probably 12 or 15 publishers out there that I looked at, and none of them did that size. They wouldn't do a landscape viewed book. And I thought, oh, great, now there goes my book. I'm going to have to cut it down, and it's not going to look right. And I complained enough on Facebook that someone finally shared my post to someone that had used this other company. They're a self-publishing company called Ingram Spark.
Okay.
And they had the size that I wanted, and I was like, oh, hallelujah. So I went through them, and it's a pretty easy process. There's a little bit of upfront cost, but they basically just take your files, they have you format them, they give you a proof, they'll tell you, hey, this doesn't look right to us measurement-wise, and you can either fix it or you tell them, I don't care, just keep going, and they'll go for it, and then you distribute. You set your prices, and they distribute it throughout their 39,000 locations worldwide, if that's what you choose.
Right. Okay.
So it was a fairly easy process after that, and I'm very happy with how the book came out. It looks good as far as the print quality, and the cover has this weird suede-ish texture to it, which for a pirate book kind of feels right. It's right. Very unique. So yeah, it was a pretty cool process. But I had looked at other companies beforehand, and they were like, "Well, sorry, you can slim it down to a square book or their traditional children's sizes," and I just didn't want. I wanted it my way. So.
Yeah. So then Ingram Spark, they make the books, probably a print on demand type of thing.
Yep.
They do the distribution, but then all the promotion is basically up to you, right?
It can be, or you can pay them additional fees, and they will do the advertisements. So they'll put your book, you set your price, and then you can set a discount for the bulk shipment for distributors. So like Barnes & Nobles, for instance, has the opportunity to purchase my book in bulk and distribute it within their stores. So that's there. They're allowed to do that. Or I can go and kind of advertise for myself, which I've done. I've gone to different stores and different locations and said, hey, I'm a local, author. I've just published my first book. Would you like to have the book in the store? Would you like to do an event where I come and sign books or read? I'm willing to dress up in my pirate stuff and come and read to the kids and do an event like that. So I'm doing a lot of self advertisement, which I love to do. I've gotten quite far doing that thus far, so I'll keep doing it. But yeah, there's an additional fee you can pay if you want them to advertise to their distributors.
Interesting. And I imagine somebody coming into a bookstore and saying, I'm going to come in and dress like a pirate and read to the kids is probably a whole lot more enticing than somebody that walks in and goes, well, I've written another book about how to get rich.
Right, exactly.
I'm going to come read it to people. Yeah. So that seems like definitely an advantage there. That's really cool. And so are you taking the books out to the festivals and doing all that kind of stuff as well?
Yep. So we just finished a weekend at New Hampshire Renaissance Fair, and we had some books there that were for sale. We have another event coming up called Kids Con, which is a kids-specific Comic-Con. It's geared just for kids, and their whole theme is anti-bullying and self-creation. So I'll have books there as well to sell.
That's great. That's really cool. So where's the best place online for people to keep up with what you're doing?
So I have a Facebook page. It's Captain Jay Tucci. We also, the Northeast Buccaneers have their own Facebook page where we post all of our events that are coming up. And we usually give quite a few notices as far as what's going on. But the main page for Captain Jay is the Captain Jay Tucci page. And that's where I post all of my new YouTube videos. I post any updates with the book. Statuses, or previously as I was moving forward, I kind of posted information about where I was in the bookmaking process, which drove some excitement as well. But it's mostly Facebook stuff. I do have a website. It's used a lot less than Facebook is because it's easier to share and show statuses and show pictures and stuff through the Facebook community.
Sure, certainly. Yeah, absolutely. That's great, man. So is there anything I forgot to ask you that you want everybody to know about?
Not really. I mean, I thank you very much, obviously, for having me here.
Sure.
The book is doing very well, and I really hope that people that purchase the book like it. If there are smaller children out there that watch YouTube, I do have a pretty fun YouTube channel where we talk about all kinds of stuff from letters to colors to different games. There's an episode where little pirate Henry and I play Pie Face, and it gets a little silly, so we have some fun with that. But those are the fun things we're doing, and you can just follow us and see where we go next, really.
That's great. I'm going to send your YouTube channel to my brother for his 2-year-old so that they can stop watching the super irritating stuff that they're watching now with her.
Awesome. Awesome.
Well, thanks a lot, Jay. This has been really fun, man. I'm glad we got a chance to do it.
Yeah, I am too. Thank you so much. This is a great opportunity, and it was a lot of fun.
Glad to hear it, man. Thank you. And there it is, friends. That is my interview with Captain Jay Tucci. And you can check out his book and everything that he's doing. Go to facebook.com/pirate Captain Jay Tucci. All one word, no slashes, no dashes, no underlines, none of that. And I'll have a link for you, of course, in the show notes at underthecrossbones.com/145. And we would love to hear your stories and what you thought of the episode. And if you learned something cool or if you didn't like it at all, I take that back. If you didn't like it, I don't know, keep your mouth shut. But do come over, share your thoughts with us on the Facebook page, underthecrossbones.com/ Facebook.com. Facebook.com/underthecrossbones. Over on Twitter, we're at undercrossbones. If you have a short thought that will fit in 140 characters. Is it 140 now? Or 200? 120? I don't know. A tweet. If it fits in a tweet at us. That's always cool to do too. We're sponsored today, of course, by Pirate Radio of the Treasure Coast, WKKC-DB, playing the best music of today's hits and yesterday's classics, and Pirate Radio Talk, playing the best pirate radio shows, including Under the Crossbones, 24/7, commercial-free. You gotta dig that. To listen, just go to pirateradiofthetreasurecoast.com or grab the app, Pirate Radio WKKC-DB, that's the music station, or go to pirateradiotc.com or grab the Pirate Radio Talk app for the talk station. And you can hear Under the Crossbones on there. New episodes are played a couple times a week. Catalog episodes are played throughout the week. All sorts of good stuff. If you're listening there now, thank you. Much appreciated. It's all brought to you by iTreasure Radio, the very best digital media from independently owned stations at iTreasureRadio.com. Speaking of those guys, in a couple weeks, Dave MacArthur is going to be on the show. Dave and his wife Ellen own Pirate Radio, the Treasure Coast. So we're going to talk a bunch of radio stuff. That's coming up in a couple weeks. Only took 150 episodes to get him on. But it's going to be a fun talk. It's going to be a good one. I've got a free ebook for you. Alexander Exquemelin's Pirates of Panama or Buccaneers of America, whichever title you prefer, because it's out there under both. If you haven't read it, it was first published in 1678. So this is, boom, golden age, piratey, bumpadoo, right there. Alexander Exquemelin was a doctor, and he ended up on some pirate ships, and he wrote about his first-person encounters on those pirate ships. So it's real cool historical pirate stuff. And I've got a free ebook for you, a version of it, and it's very cool. You can go to underthecrossbones.com, click on the free ebook link, and download it right there. Or if you're out and about and all you have is your phone on you, go ahead and text the word pirate and your email address to 94253. Text the word pirate and your email address to 94253. It'll kick you back a little link to download that ebook. That's our show for today, kids. I appreciate you being here, as always, week after week after week. If you want to find out more about Captain Jay Tucci and his book, Captain Jay and the Misfit Crew, go to facebook.com/pirate Captain Jay Tucci. That link will be in the show notes, too, at underthecrossbones.com/145. We've got some super cool shows coming up. Next week, Che Prasad and John Howard from the Shark Alley Hobos, a pirate musical group right out in Northern California here. Very cool dudes. The week after that, James Masciarelli, author of Beyond Beauport, which is a sort of an Anne Bonny story told modern day, flashy Becky. You'll dig it. And a week after that, T.F. Wright, who is the co-creator of The Pirate's Fate. That is a great discussion. You're really going to enjoy that episode because we get into some stuff that we have never talked about on this show before. So, all that is coming up. Again, you can get all the show notes for today's episodes at underthecrossbones.com/145. And that's it. Be good to each other. I'll see you next week.